You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Floors Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of Wayback Wednesday. I'm your host, Randy Adcock. It's good of you to join us tonight. Got a lot of ground to cover tonight, and our trusty control room tech, Lee, is on vacation. So, Lee, I hope you're not watching. I hope you're out enjoying your vacation and having something fun to do. But anyway, in Lee's absence, we have Brittany. So, thank you, Brittany, for taking over for Lee back in the back. And I'm sure before the night's over, I'll call you Lee at least once, so just bear with me. And we want to kind of, as we do quite often in this show, kind of step back to last week's show for just a few minutes and talk about a couple things and clarify a few things. You know, you've heard me say over and over again, to me it's very important that we provide accurate information here. And so whenever I find I'm in error or got something that was incorrectly put out to you, the viewer, I want to make sure I go back and correct it. And we did that last week. If you remember, we talked about a young lady named June Cockrell, and a couple of weeks ago I had mistakenly thought that June Cockrell was the same June who ended up being Miss June Brazel of Rocky Mount Radio Works. Well, that was obviously not the case. We corrected that last week when we realized that June Cockrell and June Gideon, who later became June Brazel, were two entirely different ladies. Ironically enough, they graduated together in 1953 from Rocky Mount High School and knew each other, from what I understand. So anyway, what I want to do, though, I spent a little bit of time last week, since last week's show, I should say, doing a little bit of research on Miss June Cockrell. And the reason I did, if you remember from last week's show, in addition to Rocky Mount Radio Works, there was a Cockrell's Garage. They were in very close proximity to each other for a while. And it's believed that they kind of had a symbiotic relationship where if a customer went to one garage and needed work that that garage didn't do, they would send them to the other garage and vice versa. And so we really thought, well, this June Cockrell may have been the daughter of the gentleman who ran Cockrell's Garage. Well, as it turns out, that wasn't true either. And I found out that the June Cockrell was actually the daughter of a man named, let's see, I've got her in front of me, Mr. Meady Cockrell. And Mr. Meady Cockrell actually ran a store. He and his wife ran a store on the corner of Thomas Street and Pearl Street. It was called Cockrell's Grocery, of course. And I think, Brittany, if you could pull that very first picture up. This is a current picture. There you go. Just kind of give you an idea of where you are. Piggly Wiggly's on the right there. Just to the left would be Pearl Street, and right there where Langley's Auto Sales lot is now would have been the location of Cockrell's grocery store in the 1960s. That's when the store was in operation. And as I said, Mr. and Ms. Cockrell both ran the store together, and they had a daughter whose name was Jean Lee Cockrell. And in 1954, Miss June Lee Cockrell married a gentleman named Eugene Stanley Massey of Zebulon. And so anyway, that's how that clan came to be. And I saw a couple of instances of where June Stanley Massey had a couple of kids, and so just wanted to clarify that, because like I said, I was thinking from last week's show that there was a connection between June Cockrell and Cockrell's Garage. Now there may have been. Mr. Cockrell that ran the grocery store and Mr. Cockrell that ran the garage could have been brothers, cousins. I'm not sure if there was a connection. Certainly it was possible. But in any case, June Cockrell, her father was the man who ran the grocery store, not the one who had Cockrell's Garage. So got that cleared up and out of the way. Also, I want to talk a little bit tonight about, if you remember from last week's show, in fact, it came up a couple times in prior shows, a story that happened back in 1948, Labor Day weekend. Eric Dawson first brought the story to my attention some time ago, and it was a sad story of a young man named Ray Davenport, who he and three of his buddies went down to Nag's Head on Labor Day weekend in 1948, and tragically Ray drowned. And so, as it turns out, and I didn't know this until I started doing this research for Eric. Eric came to me and said, what can you find out about this? And by the way, let me just give a shout out one more time to the station here, who has graciously acquired a subscription to the www.newspapers.com website. It's a phenomenal website. There's thousands upon thousands of newspapers that are cataloged there. The information has been digitized, and oh my God, how they do what they do is beyond me. It's certainly just a treasure trove of information there. And we're going to get into some pictures here very shortly and show you some advertisements that came from all the way back into the 30s, 40s, 50s, and so forth, from the newspaper, from Rocky Mount Telegram. But getting back to the tragic story of Mr. Ray Davenport, the story goes that Ray and three of his college buddies went down to Nags Head for Labor Day weekend, 1948, and two of the young fellows swam out in the ocean, of course. I guess they went too far out. They got caught in the riptide, and Ray was apparently not a very strong swimmer and started having trouble getting back to shore. And so his buddy with him said, float on your back, and I'll swim to shore. I'll get a life preserver or a life raft or something, and I'll come back out and I'll tow you back in. So while Ray was floating on his back, his buddy swam back to shore, got a life preserver, and swam back out to help his buddy Ray come back to shore. Well, sadly, when he got back out there, he couldn't find Ray. And he searched and searched, and again, it was tragic that Ray had drowned, and I think it was a day or two later before they found his body. But there was certainly a few articles that appeared in the newspaper about it, and it was interesting to me to read how this whole thing unfolded. If you remember, I think it was 3 weeks ago, we talked about a man, Mr. H.N. Davenport, a big farmer from over in Brattleboro, and Ray was his son. David was a cousin. And so it was David and Ray that had swam out there, and like I say, Ray got in trouble. And when David tried to go back and find him, he couldn't. But there were some witnesses to what happened that day, some ladies who were out there on the beach, and they gave a really good account of what was certainly a tragic event. But the bottom line was, they said it was really heroic what those young men did to try to save their friend. One of the four was a young fellow named Kenneth Watson. As it turns out, Kenneth Watson was my second cousin. And again, I didn't know anything about this until Eric brought it to my attention, and certainly didn't know that one of my relatives was involved in this. But there was four young men. They were all 19, 20 years old, college students at the time. But it was Ray Davenport, David Davenport, Bunny Bunn, and of course Kenneth Watson. And so, as I said, the two ladies who had and I was going to read, it's a bit of a long article, so I won't do that, but I just wanted to kind of shout that out there, put that out there to the audience, that there was a really heroic effort made by the other three to save their friend, and it's a tragedy that they were unsuccessful in doing that. But the article is actually in the newspaper. I found it, and like I said, I wish I'd have printed it out, because I've got it here on my little net book in front of me here, but frankly the writing is so small I can't read it, so I apologize for that. But we'll try to move on to everything else I've got tonight. Is going to be either a picture or some kind of format that I won't need to have such keen eyesight to see. So with that being said, I mentioned at the top of the show that last week we looked at a business, Rocky Mount Ready to Work, that had been around more than 90 years now. And that's something you just don't see very often, for a business to be in business that long, certainly. But Rocky Mount, believe it or not, has quite a few businesses that have been in existence for close to 100 years. And we're going to talk about one tonight, Waters Brothers Contracting. And Waters Brothers was actually started in business in 1921. And so this year, they celebrated their 100th year in business. And they had a nice little gathering over at the location over on Instrument Drive, where that's at. That's where they are currently. They've actually been in 2 or 3 other locations around Rocky Mount over the years, and we'll show you some advertisements and some pictures of the different locations and ads that appear in just a minute. But I wanted to first of all congratulate the good folks over there at Waters Brothers for just doing a bang-up job. That certainly is a milestone to have been in business for 100 years, still family-owned, by the way. And we'll talk a little bit about the family members in a minute. Before we get to that, though, I'll tell you what, Brittany, let's go ahead and pull up that picture, I think in your list will be number 1A. And by the way, there you go. This was something that Anna Costa, who is one of the owner's daughters, Roger Waters, who's since passed away. But Anna's there now, and her cousin Scott, they kind of run the business with Lou Carson. And this was actually a bank register that you see on the left-hand side of your screen there, upper left-hand corner. It says 1921. And this is from Planters National Bank. And so this was probably the first official document that kind of goes back and traces when the business got started. But certainly in 1921, they were already in business. And at that point, they were actually located over on, Rose Street. Excuse me, I went brain dead for a moment. They were on Rose Street. And they were actually in a couple different locations on Rose Street. And I didn't know that till today. I saw different advertisements in the newspaper and in the city directories that kind of catalog where they were over the years. So what we're going to do tonight is go through the different locations that Waters Brothers was in operation from the time they started in 1921 up until current. Now, one of the things that I thought might be interesting to do is to see what these guys were doing before they started the actual Waters Brothers company. And so there was three gentlemen who I'm sure were related. I'm not sure whether they were brothers or father and two sons, but they were certainly related. And in the 1920 city directory, there were three gentlemen, a Eugene E. Waters, a John L. Waters, and a William E. Waters, who were all three listed as tinsmiths. Now keep in mind, this is 1920, the 1920 city directory, and these three gentlemen were listed as tinsmiths. Okay, so by 1921, the business had begun, and in fact, in 1925, the city directory listed E.E., J.L., and W.E. Waters as being the owners of Waters Brothers Tin Shop at 206 Rose Street. Okay, Brittany, let's go to our next picture, number 2. This is a newspaper ad from 1937. And you know, there's a lot of things that Waters Brothers has done over the years that I was not aware of. And Lou told me today, Lou Carson, who's been there for, golly, I'm not going to try to venture a guess, a long time, let's just put it that way. And she was telling me today that they used to be in the air conditioning business. And lo and behold, I found this ad today from 1937 where they were listed as a domestic air conditioning installer. And it's kind of weird. It says the modern home, this is 1937, keep in mind, the modern home has conditioned air. Not air conditioning as we think of today, but conditioned air. I thought that was a neat little piece of advertisement there from, again, 1937. And another strange thing, they didn't have the address listed here. This time they were on Rose Street, however. And so if you could, let's go to the next image here. And the next one, this is a little blurry. Some of these newspaper ads can be a little difficult to read. But this is from 1938, and it makes reference to an oil-fired air conditioning. Now, I know we've got viewers who have, over the years, been in a number of different fields of expertise and labor and so forth. So if anyone knows anything about an oil-filled air conditioning, I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are about it. It sounds like something that would be terribly messy, and I'm sure it's a bear to work on. By the way, I forgot to give out a number. 407-1111 is a number. If you got a comment and want to call in, we'd love to hear from you. We're talking about Waters Brothers Contracting. Again, started in 1921, and in 1938, this was an ad, and it's actually a little clearer online. I do apologize. Sometimes when we say these things from the newspapers.com website, they do get a little bit grainy, a little bit blurry, but I just thought it was interesting that it was listed, they were listed as a dealer for a oil-fired air conditioning unit or system. So, okay. All right, Brittany, let's go to the next picture then. This is from 1941. And again, some of these ads are better than others. This is listed here. You'll see the address is listed as 210 Rose Street. So if you go over there, this is kind of catacombs behind the old post office, if you know where that is. Over there at 5 Points, down by Man Gorham Drugstore and so forth. If you were to turn right there and go down between the post office and Man Gorham Drugs and take the first road to your right, there's a long building there on the left-hand side. That's Rose Street, by the way. And I'm not sure how it was broken up back in the 1920s and 30s and 40s, But I've actually seen different listings where they were at one point were listed as 209 Rose Street and then 210 Rose Street. They expanded into 210 to 212 Rose Street. And they were there through the 1960s, and we'll get to it in a minute where they actually moved to another location. But they were in, and I expect what happened was they just expanded. They went into one space and then outgrew that and expanded to the next space beside them. And so they finally got the majority of that building before they eventually moved over to the next location. So let's go ahead, Britt, to the next one then. By the 1940s, this is an ad here. This is a picture here. This is on Rose Street, and this was actually, I took this picture. This was hanging on the wall inside Waters Brothers. And in addition to doing tin work, metal fabrication work, they did roofing work, they did certainly heating and air conditioning work, they did duct work, and so they just had they also, I'll show you in a minute some ads, they did vinyl siding, aluminum siding, and this was pretty common practice back in the 40s and 50s particularly for businesses to branch out and diversify, if you will, and have several different offerings to the public. And so if one field or one avenue was a little bit slow, they'd pick up the slack by offering another service. And so over the years, Waters Brothers has been a roofing company, they've been a heating and air conditioning company, they've been a metal fabrication company. They do an awful lot of work now for people like Pfizer out here on the bypass. I think Firestone and Wilson, they do some work for them. But metal fabrication is really their forte, and they've been doing it for 100 years and obviously very good at it. Okay, Brittany, let's go to the next one then. And this is from the 1940s, obviously. This is out front. If you'll notice, this is that building. And by the way, this building is still there. It's in kind of bad state of repair right now, needs repair, I should say. At one time, there was a plumbing operation in here. Kilbur Radio, I think, was in one end on the right-hand side of the building for a while. But this is from the 1940s, and this is Waters Brothers. I got sidetracked a while ago. I wanted to tell you, this picture and the one we just showed you are actually hanging on the wall inside the foyer of the lobby over there at Waters Brothers today. And they've got, down the hall, they've got pictures of the previous owners, and it's just a really neat walk through history to go back and look at some of these old pictures over there. And kind of walk back through time to see how they did what they did and how the business has progressed and grown over the years. Okay, tell you what, Brent, let's go to the next one, and then we'll take a commercial break here. This next one is actually also an advertisement, and you may have to zoom out on this one. This one actually, for some reason, when I save it, it kind of saves in a fairly blown up configuration. I'm not sure why. And that happens sometimes when we save these files from one format to another. They do tend to be, there you go. And again, this is from the 1940s. This was from the city directory. And as you can see, they listed all kinds of roofing, sheet metal contracting, heating, ventilating, and air conditioning. And notice in the bottom left-hand corner, their address here now is listed as 210 to 212, 210 to 212 Rose Street. Notice the 3-digit phone number too. A lot of folks don't realize that for a long time, Rocky Mount went by just a handful of phone numbers. In later years, they picked up a couple double digits, and of course now we got to use 10 to make a phone call, it seems like. But in any case, the number 349 was their phone number, and this is from the 1940s from the city directory. So I'll tell you what, Brittany, this be a good stopping point here. Bring it back to me. We'll take a quick commercial break, folks. If you need to get a little snacky poo or take a bathroom break, go ahead and take care of a little business right now, and we'll be right back with more Wayback Wednesday.
You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flores Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
I'm Daniel Moss, owner of Cornerstone Funeral Home, and I'd like to invite you and your family to give our family an opportunity to serve you in your time of need. And we offer a full line of funeral services, everything from visitations to graveside services to cremations on site with a live crematory, as well as a banquet hall to meet the catering needs of our families that we serve. We offer catering service. We offer refreshments prior to visitations and services of our family, and we want to invite you to come and experience the difference here at Cornerstone Funeral Home.
faced with special care needs for elderly or disabled loved ones, families want compassionate, comforting care. That's Tender Touch Home Care Services' goal, providing the level of care we would expect for our own. With over 10 years of home care excellence, Tender Touch provides an array of services that keeps your loved one at home. From personal care, light housekeeping, errands, and meal preparation, to our private duty care program, which combines all of our home care offerings in one package.
Tender Touch Home Care Services, where your needs are our concern.
Hello, I'm Gus Tullis with Gus Tullis Insurance, and I'm here to talk to you about the extended open enrollment period for the Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare. Enrollment is available to anyone under age 65. Pre-existing conditions will not disqualify you, and I'm here to inform you of the subsidy that can be available to you based on your household income. You may not even be aware of the potential to improve your current subsidy. You need to take action because the benefits are available if you enroll between now and the August 15th deadline. Now I'd like to take a moment and share with you the annual household income chart. For example, this income chart shows a household of one earning a minimum annual income of $12,760 up to $51,040 and possibly more would qualify for a subsidy. Over the last 3 days, I've helped several folks qualify and sign up for the Obamacare plan. This could be you. To find out if you qualify for a general subsidy, call Gus Tullis Insurance at 252-937-6913. Your subsidy is waiting, but the August 15th deadline is fast approaching. Call me today at 252-937-6913.
You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flores Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
And we're back. Folks, are just tuning in. You're watching Wayback Wednesday. I'm your host, Randy Adcox. I want to give a shout out to our control room tech tonight, Brittany. Lee is on vacation, and so Brittany has graciously agreed to fill in for him and doing a bang-up job, I might add. So thank you, Brittany. During the break, I was thinking about some of the pictures we've seen, some of the advertisements we've seen over the last few minutes with Waters Brothers. And with Rocky Mount, and we've talked about this in the past too on several shows about the importance of the agribusiness in Rocky Mount, particularly tobacco warehouses and so forth. If you think about over the years, particularly in the early days, most of those buildings had tin roofs on them, tobacco warehouses, pole barns, certainly farming operation facilities. Tin roofs were just everywhere. I mean, they were all over the place, rural, city, everywhere. And so I can see where there'd be a really profitable and quite lucrative opportunity there for someone who was willing to go up on hot roofs like a day like today to do roofing work would be miserable, absolutely miserable. But we got a call. Let's get this caller. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, this is Mr. Lewis in Rocky Mount. I used to work at a hospital, a maintenance man.
Yes, sir.
What they do is they take steam and they take glycol and they take the steam and turn the glycol to a gas. And you got water tubes going through this liquid, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? As the gas returns to a liquid, it creates cold. And the cold chills the water. It makes the water cold, like 40 degrees. And then you pump it through your heating and air conditioning, and that's where you get your air conditioning or your heating.
Okay.
Depending on whether the machine is in forward or in reverse.
I see.
Gas fire type works similar. The gas flame heats glycol, which is alcohol, which is antifreeze, actually is what it is.
Right.
And heats it to a gas. And then they've got water tubes going through this liquid. And as the gas returns back to a liquid, it causes cold. It starts to freeze.
Right.
And then it chills the water. And then you pump it to a radiator, put a fan across it, and you got air conditioning. That's how the gas-fired air conditioner works.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I couldn't in my mind envision oil-fired and air conditioning working together, but what you just said makes perfect sense. So,
okay, like your car, for instance, your engine gets hot, right?
Right.
Now, a lot of people want to know how the glycol cools the engine. I'll tell you how it does. The engine heats the glycol to a gas, kind of a gassy liquid.
Okay.
And as it goes through the radiator of your car, the air coming through the radiator causes the antifreeze to return back to a liquid. And when it returns back to a liquid, it chills.
Right.
It causes a cooling effect.
Okay.
That's how glycol works in a car. It keeps your engine cool by evaporating and condensing glycol.
Well, that's great information to share. Thank you for calling in. Appreciate that.
Okay.
Have a good night. And thanks for watching, too. Okay. See, folks, you watch this show, you learn something every week, I promise you. You learn something every week. All right. So before the break, we were talking about Waters Brothers, of course, and we were showing some pictures. This next picture is from a 1952 city directory. It's actually an ad, I should say, not so much a picture. Oh, we got a call. Let's get this call. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah. The building y'all was saying that Warner Brothers was in on Rose Street,
Yes, sir.
I think 210. Didn't that used to be a wholesale paint center in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s?
They were over there. In fact, I think, I'm not positive, Waters Brothers moved out of that building in 1962. We'll show you a picture in a minute when they moved over the Cokie Road in 1962. And so I believe it was after Waters Brothers left that wholesale paint moved in that building. I believe you're exactly right.
Yeah, because I know the Motorola place was down on the corner from
That's right.
the
Killebrew.
wholesale paint center.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, good deal. Okay, so this next is actually an ad, I should say, from 1952 City Directory, and is that the one we saw before? I guess that's similar, very similar. Some of them are. These are City Directory ads, and sometimes they're very simple. Just name of the business and a quick synopsis of what they do. But again, this is from 1952, and you can see the address is listed as 210 to 212 Rose Street. And the gentleman just called in is exactly right. I do recall wholesale paint being over there. And like I said, I think they moved in upon the vacation of the building by Waters Brothers. In fact, the very next picture, let's see, here we go. I think this is the last one. And well, no, I've got a few more where they were still at Rose Street. But again, this is just showing you the kind of work that they advertised. They did roofing work. They advertised that they did air conditioning work. They advertised they did vinyl siding and aluminum siding. They advertised they did metal fabrication work. They certainly did duct work. In fact, we'll show you a picture here in a few minutes of some really intricate duct work they did. And so they just, whatever it took to make the money, I guess, is what they did. Okay, Brittany, let's go to the next one then. And here we go. This one is actually from 1955. Is that right, Brittany? We're looking at the same one here?
Yes.
Okay. This is, if you think about it, this is 1955. Hurricane Hazel had just blown through Rocky Mountain the previous year, 1954. Hurricane Hazel blew through here and just wreaked havoc all over North Carolina, particularly in this area here. And so it was actually good for business if you're into business of repairing roofs. And so this ad here says, for the hurricane-tested roof, get Barracks exterior shingles. Contact Waters Brothers Contracting. We're exclusive dealers, 210 Rose Street. And they're actually, phone number there, if you notice now they've got a 5-digit phone number. Earlier they had the 3-digit or 4-digit. Now they've gone to a 5-digit number. So progress is certainly moving forward here. And again, this is 1955. So, okay, Brittany, let's go to the next one then. This one is from 1957, and it's just a notice that E.E. Waters, who was Eugene Waters, has retired as of May 15, 1957, from the partnership heretofore doing business under the firm name of Waters Brothers, and that said partnership will continue to do business under the same name. The undersigned shall not be liable for any debts contracted by or credit extended to said firm after the above date. So, and it goes on to say that assuming operation of the business are Walter E. Waters, Gordon M. Waters, and W.D. Waters. So in 1957, one of the original partners, Mr. Eugene Waters, retires. And if you go ahead, Brittany, and pull up the next document, this is another partner, Mr. W.D. Waters, a few months later. Eugene retired in May of 1957, and W.D. Waters retired in December of 1957. So I guess they pass it down to their sons at this point and nephews and so forth. And so this business has been family run, as I said at the top of the show, for 100 years. I mean, it's been a family member involved in Waters Brothers since the business started in 1921. Actually, 1920, if you want to get back to the three original partners, were doing tin fabrication work even before they started in business together. So in any case, certainly since 1921, this business has been family owned and operated and continues to be that way to this day. Okay, Brittany, let's go to the next one then. This is a newspaper ad from 1957. And again, not until today that I was aware that they installed and sold air conditioning systems, heating and air conditioning. And in fact, this ad, the X at the end there is kind of worn off, but it was originally a Lennox. They were Lennox dealers. And you notice the address is listed as 210 Rose Street here. And so, and this was in 1957, by the way. This ad appeared in the Rocky Mount Telegram in 1957. They're still, and by the way, another neat thing about this company, the name has remained the same for 100 years. With a minor change. It started out being Waters Brothers Tin Shop. They dropped the tin shop in later years and kept the name Waters Brothers. And to this day, it still is known by and goes by Waters Brothers. Okay, ready? Let's go to the next one then. And this is from 1962. If you notice, it says, now in our new home at 1017 Cokie Road, see us for all your roofing and metal supply needs. And so they vacated the space on Rose Street where they had been, golly, since the 1930s, and moved, well, actually prior to that, they were in back in the 20s actually, but they moved from Rose Street over to Cokie Road in 1962. This ad was dated October 25th, 1962. And I mean, they moved into, let's go to that very next picture there, Brittany, if you would, because this picture, there you go. I'm not sure if they built this building, and they may have. I'm really not sure. I don't recall reading where it was built or if they just occupied it after someone else had built it. It looks to me to be a brand new building in 1962. But this is over off Cokie Road. Then you see the railroad tracks in the foreground there. This is where Cokie Road coming from Rocky Mount going out of town. You cross the railroad tracks there, and Waters Brothers would be on the right there. That building is still there. And I think it's been empty for some time. I've not been over that way in quite a while, but I think, oh, we got a call. Let's get this call. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Randy.
Hey.
This is Lou.
Hey.
You're talking about the building on Cokie Road.
Yes, ma'am.
They leased that building from Mr. Coleman, who owned Nash Brick Company.
I knew him. Yeah.
We rented that from him.
Okay.
From 1963 until we moved out on Instrument Drive in 1991.
Okay. So Waters did not, I guess it looked to be a fairly new building when you guys moved in there, though, right?
Well, it was the existing building when I went to work there. I don't know if it was when they originally moved in. That I couldn't tell you. That was before my time, believe it or not.
Yeah, I should have thought about that. Yeah, I know what you mean. You're not that old, are you, Lou?
Pardon me?
You're not that old, are you?
Not quite. I've been there for 48 years, but keep in mind I was only 9 when I started.
Well, see, now I wasn't going to tell that, so you put that on yourself out there. 48 years.
Yeah, but I was only 9.
That's right. That's right.
And, leave alone.
Yeah, doing a bang-up job, too, I might add.
But yeah, this has been very enlightening. I've really enjoyed watching the history, and I've seen many changes over the years since 1973, so it's just a wonderful company. I can't say enough good about it.
Good people all around. I agree with you 100%. I sure do.
It really is.
Okay, dear. Thank you here.
Thanks, Randy. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye. Okay, Lou Carson there. Lou, as you said, been there 48 years. She told me that earlier today, and I was going to mention it earlier. I said, no, I'm not going to say that. But she has been there 48 years, and Scott himself has told me whenever she leaves, he's going to leave too. So he may have been joking, I don't know. But okay, so Brittany, let's go back then. Let's go to the next picture. And this is actually an aerial shot, and I had not seen this until I saw it over at the Waters Brothers. It's hanging on the wall over there. But you can tell there the railroad tracks in the foreground, the bottom right-hand corner of your screen there. Again, that's Cokie Road headed out of town. And that building, as I say, from the previous picture, looked to be fairly new in 1962. But as Lou was just saying, they leased a building from Mr. Coleman. And I actually, some of you may remember David Coleman, well, Mr. Coleman's son, David. I've not seen David in some while, but he used to ride a bike all over Rocky Mount. And so anyway, Nash Brick Company was Mr. Coleman's company. Had a plant up at Ida up there. If you know where that is, up 43 Highway, way out in the boonies out there. But anyway, apparently Mr. Coleman owned that building, and Waters Brothers leased it when they moved from Rose Street in 1961 or 62, somewhere along in there. Okay, so I tell you what, I think we got time for one more maybe before we go to our next break, Brittany. So let's go to that next one then. And this is another newspaper ad. This is not the best quality, and you run across this sometimes when some of these old ads. This is from 1963. It's a newspaper ad, and they're advertising. Oh, gee, can you zoom? Well, I'll tell you what, let me see if I can open it up on my little device here. This caught my eye because, I don't know, I want to say it's vinyl siding. Aluminum siding, there you go. Thank you, Brittany, thank you. That's what I was trying to get at. I couldn't remember exactly what they were advertising, but, pretty good advertising work there. And again, I hate the ad is not clearer than it is because it wasn't much better on the newspaper article when I found it today, but in any case, it gets back to what I was saying earlier. In addition to doing roofing work and heating and air conditioning work, they did vinyl siding work and just anything metal related. They developed the techniques and the skills, and if they needed to purchase machinery or equipment to do it, they did that. Speaking of that, I'll tell you, every time I go over there and get a chance to go out in the shop, I'm fascinated by the equipment they've got over there. They've got machines that can cut through plate steel 3/4 of an inch thick with a stream of water. It's just fascinating to see that kind of equipment in action. They can bend and mold and weld and structure just about any kind of metal you want to see. They make some phenomenal stainless steel grills over there. So it's just a great bunch of guys and ladies over there who do a wonderful job serving the public. Let's go ahead then, Britt, to the next one. This is from 1967. This is another newspaper ad, and it says Waters Brothers Roofing now in its third generation. And that's Gordon Waters at the top there and Mr. Roger Waters at the bottom. And I had to do a double take. I knew Roger Waters well, thought a lot of him, and did not recognize him until I looked at this ad again, his article, and read it. But it's a nice write-up here as the elders of the business retired and moved on, and the sons and the grandsons, nephews took over the business, and nieces and granddaughters took over the business. Again, it's just been a family-run business, very tight-knit group of people over there, and it's just a testament to good people working together over a long, long period of time, doing a bang-up job for the public in Rocky Mount. Okay, let's go to the next one then, Brittany, if you would. This next one is actually from 1967. And it says a change has taken place in the ownership and management of Waters Brothers. And again, it's just talking about the new owners, who have kind of taken over the operation of the business. And as you can see, it's kind of blurry, I know, on your TV screen there, but it's talking about Roger and Gordon and about the types of services they offer, the types of work they can do, and just another testament to what this business has been able to do over the years and how they've grown. I'll tell you what, Brittany, let's bring it back to me. Let's take our next commercial break. We're going to talk some more, and when we come back from the break, folks, show you some more pictures of Waters Brothers, and we'll talk about some other pictures and other images around Rocky Mount too. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Wayback Wednesday.
You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flores Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
Hello, I'm Gus Tullis with Gus Tullis Insurance, and I'm here to talk to you about the extended open enrollment period for the Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare. Enrollment is available to anyone under age 65. Pre-existing conditions will not disqualify you, and I'm here to inform you of the subsidy that can be available to you based on your household income. You may not even be aware of the potential to improve your current subsidy. You need to take action because the benefits are available if you enroll between now and the August 15th deadline. Now I'd like to take a moment and share with you the annual household income chart. For example, this income chart shows a household of one earning a minimum annual income of $12,760 up to $51,040 and possibly more would qualify for a subsidy. Over the last 3 days, I've helped several folks qualify and sign up for the Obamacare plan. This could be you. To find out if you qualify for a general subsidy, call Gus Tullis Insurance at 252-937-6913. Your subsidy is waiting, but the August 15th deadline is fast approaching. Call me today, 252-937-6913.
I'm Daniel Moss, owner of Cornerstone Funeral Home, and I'd like to invite you and your family to give our family an opportunity to serve you in your time of need. And we offer a full line of funeral services, everything from visitations to graveside services to cremations on site with a live crematory, as well as a banquet hall to meet the catering needs of our families that we serve. We offer catering service. We offer refreshments prior to visitations and services of our family. And we want to invite you to come and experience the difference here at Cornerstone Funeral Home.
And meal preparation to our private duty care program, which combines all of our home care offerings in one package.
Tender Touch Home Care Services, where your needs are our concern.
You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flores Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
And we're back. Folks, for just tuning in, you're watching Wayback Wednesday. I'm Randy Adcock. So good of you to join us tonight. We were talking about Waters Brothers Contracting, was just simply Waters Brothers, celebrating their 100th year of business this year. One of Rocky Mount's pinnacle businesses that have been around doing the same work. Well, that's not exactly accurate. It's not the same work. They've done a variety of things over the years, from roofing work to metal fabrication to heating and air conditioning work. And when I was researching the company for tonight's show, I was really amazed. Oh, we got a call. Let's get this caller. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Hey.
Yes, sir.
Hello. I was going to make a comment about the Waters Brothers.
Yes, sir.
That last picture of one of them with a beard, I was a child, but 67 was when the centennial was in Rocky Mount. And a lot of men, the month prior to May of 67, grew beards for the Rocky Mount centennial. And that's probably why he had that beard at that time.
You know, you're probably right. I hadn't thought about that. My dad did the same thing. In 1967, he grew a beard.
Right.
And a lot of men did, as you said.
I remember all the men grew beards for the Rocky Mount Centennial celebration.
They did. Yes, sir. They sure did.
Okay, that's all I was going to tell you.
Okay, buddy. Thanks for calling in. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Sir.
All right. Yeah, you know, that over the last, I don't know, year or so of doing this show, I've come across several pictures of various spots around Rocky Mount, various gatherings and so forth. And the gentleman is right. In 1967, when the centennial came around, you see quite a bit of pictures of men with beards. Got another call. Let's get this call. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. Good afternoon. I'd like to tell you, I like this shirt, man.
Thank you. Thank you. This is my, I don't know what to call it, going to the beach, ready for the weekend weather shirt.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You look outstanding tonight, boy. You're really shining.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
And this is really the first time I've called in a long time. You know, I've been waiting to see what was going on. You're looking good, man.
Well, you're too kind. You're too kind, my good man. But thank you for the compliment.
Yes, sir.
All right. Have a good evening.
We're going to see you later, buddy. Take it easy now.
All right. Good night. Bye-bye. Okay. I kind of like this old shirt myself. It's been around a while, but I like it too. All right. So before the break, we got another call. Let's get this call too. Hello, caller. You're on the air. Hello, caller.
Hey, you're on the air, okay?
Yes, sir. What can we do for you?
All right. In your investigations
Yes, sir.
and research, if you will, I recall as a boy going down on South Church Street to a tobacco warehouse, and they had an event called the June German.
Yes, sir.
And it has disappeared and left Rocky Mount. And if you could find out anything about the origination, I would deeply appreciate it.
Oh man, I got pictures for you. I do. I've got pictures of the June German, and I will make that a point for next week's show. I will show you some pictures of the June German. I will do that for you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, you're certainly welcome. Have a good evening. Okay. Yeah, the June German was a big deal. In fact, I think the last one was held, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 years ago now. It had, over the years, had fallen off. Attendance had really dropped down. And it really, I don't know, it wasn't it's a shadow of its former glorious self, if you will. But at one time in the 30s and 40s, in fact, there were two June Germans. A lot of folks didn't realize there was a white June German, and there was one for the African Americans in Rocky Mount too. And one took place on one night, I think Saturday night, and then either the next night or 2 nights later, the African American June German took place. And they used the same facility, used the same decorations. The building was already decorated. Everything looked nice already. So when the white folks moved out for their party, and the African American folks moved in, had their party. So 2 June Germans in Rocky Mount. All right, let's go back to our pictures, Brittany, if you would. Let's go to picture number 21, I think. And this is actually an ad that says, "Watch more football this fall." And it's a pretty neat ad. There you go. It's an ad for Alcoa Siding. And, again, it's just one more offering that Waters Brothers did. And I read this ad earlier, and I forgot exactly what it says, but I think it says, something to the effect of make your home comfortable. And I don't know if we can zoom in enough to make it legible on the TV screen or not. Sometimes these pictures from the paper, particularly when you try to zoom, well, there you go. And it says, between quarters, glance out the window at your neighbors who will probably be scraping, climbing, caulking, painting, and fuming about their houses. Then you'll remember how you played it smart when you had Alcoa aluminum siding put on your house. Incidentally, did you ever stop to think that you're saving enough painting funds to buy a new TV set? Well, there you go. So, pretty savvy advertising there by Waters Brothers to tell you, if you put vinyl siding or aluminum siding on your house, there's no more painting, no more maintenance, and you can save money and buy yourself a new TV. So there you go. All right, so that was picture number 21. So let's go ahead to number 22. And this is just another newspaper ad that appeared in 1968. And if you remember from last week's show, we talked about it was pretty common practice back in the 60s especially, and earlier too, but I saw it more in the 60s, when a new business would open up or a business would relocate or do some kind of remodeling or whatever, or have a grand reopening, a lot of other businesses in town would put a congratulatory ad in the newspaper. And so this was when the Center Theater underwent a major remodeling in 1967, and it was, of course, the Center Theater did the remodeling, but Waters Brothers extended congratulations to them. And I pulled this one ad, but it was literally one of about a dozen different ads of local Rocky Mount businesses that either did work. In this case, Waters Brothers put the new roof on the Center Theater. That's why they were kind of doing their promotion there too. But a lot of other businesses just put a simple ad up that says, "Congratulations, Center, glad you're reopening," or whatever. It's referred to here on this occasion of their grand opening, but of course the Center had been around many years before this, but it did undergo a major renovation in 1967. And so this ad came out in the paper, and it was just one of many, as I said, about a dozen ads I saw on this one page, and I just picked this one out because it was obviously referencing Waters Brothers. Okay, Brittany, let's go then to our next picture. What number are we on? I lost track. 22? 23. Okay, here we go. And as I said earlier, over the years, the ads changed as the offerings changed that Waters Brothers put out there. and they got more involved, and the ads themselves got more involved, I meant to say. But they're here to talking about, the home improvement aspect, gutters and downspouts and weather stripping, siding and roofing. So, it's often said your home is your most expensive investment that you'll make in your lifetime, and it certainly makes sense to do the proper maintenance and upkeep. And so Waters Brothers kind of found a niche market there to get in and say, okay, we can help you with this maintenance. We can help you with protecting your home and preserving it for future generations. And so as they expanded their offerings out to the community, it certainly paid off. And this ad was indicative of that. Okay, Brittany, let's go to number 24. And this is the new location, the newest location, as Lou mentioned earlier. In 1992, they moved from the Cokie Road location into the Instrument Drive location. And this is a state-of-the-art facility here. It's a really neat building, really neat layout. As I said earlier, they've got some really sophisticated, very expensive machinery back in the back to do just about any kind of metal fabrication that you would need to have done. I mean, it's just it's remarkable how far this business has come in 100 years. But they've done it by providing good customer service. Oh, we got a call. Let's get this call. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
All right. Before you get away from the old location that Waters Brothers was at on Cokie Road, when the lady Lou Carson called you.
Yes, sir.
The Mr. Eugene Waters years ago lived in, it was back door neighbor to Mr. William R. Coleman. Mr. Coleman's house was on the corner of Tarver Street and Parker Street. Mm-hmm. And the back door neighbor to him was Mr. Eugene Waters, whose house faced Sycamore Street in the 500 block.
Okay.
My maternal grandparents bought a vacant lot from Mr. Eugene Waters and built a house next door to Mr. Eugene Waters, and they moved into that house in 1939.
Wow.
The Waters brothers, one of them at least, was a backdoor neighbor to Mr. William R. Coleman that owned a building over there on Cokie Road.
Right.
And as evidence was, when Waters Brothers moved there was all kinds of flat, laid down piles of coal where that business was there on the railroad tracks. It was probably a coal and fuel business. People in those years that were in the oil business, they were also in the coal business when people heated homes with coal.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen or understood how old that building is. Of course, it's been gone a long time now where Waters Brothers was, but it was there as long as I could remember, and I was born in 1944.
Now, you're talking about the building over on Rose Street or the one on Cokie Road?
Cokie Road.
Okay. So that building is gone?
That building has been gone a long time.
Well, okay. Well, I don't know what I was thinking, but I thought it was still there. I misspoke earlier then.
No, that building has been down a good long while.
Okay. Well, I don't get over that way often, so I guess it's been longer than I had thought it'd been since I've been over that way. But in any case. Okay, buddy. Thank you. Have a good night. Okay. All righty. So, anyway, as I said earlier, it says something special about a business to have been in business as long as Waters Brothers has. It's not a fluke. You don't have that kind of longevity in Rocky Mount. Oh, we got another call. Let's get this call. Hello, caller. You on the air?
Hello?
Hello there. You're on the air?
Hey, Randy.
Hey.
I got a little heartwarming story for you since you're in the area over there.
Okay. Lay it on me.
Yelverton's Coal and Gas.
Okay.
Well, it's about 1965. I was about 13 years old. And I had a friend across the street over there, and his father had just purchased a brand new Chevrolet convertible.
Okay.
And so we would be out there playing in the yard, and he would go down there to Yelverton's to pay the bill. Mm-hmm. So he'd wait us, and we would go running there and jump in that big, pretty Chevrolet with the top down, and we would go riding over there to Yelverton's over there at the end of Pender.
Mm-hmm.
And Yelverton's back then, it had a big, sturdy deck built out there on the front of it.
Okay.
Paint decks. Had a Mountain Dew machine on it.
Okay.
So his father would pull out 2 dimes out of his pocket, got the 2 dimes in the machine, and he'd pull us out 2 Mountain Dews.
Ooh, those were the days.
So he would go inside to pay the bill, and we would sit there with our Mountain Dews on the edge of the platform out there and talk about the different things there, the TV shows there. Back then, I think there was the Man from U.N.C.L.E. and That Man and Boys to the Bottom of the Sea and all those kind of shows back then that we all loved back then.
Right.
That's it. That's just another little Hallmark story for you.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I love these old memories. And forgot to mention Gunsmoke. Sure you watch Gunsmoke too, right?
Yeah, I'm sure we watched that too.
All right, buddy. Look, thanks for calling in. Thanks for watching the show. We appreciate you here.
Okay.
All right. Good night. Okay. Folks, we got time for 1 or 2 more, and I've got a couple aerial photographs here that I stumbled across today. Brittany, if you would bring that first one up. This is from 1959, and this is South Church Street. And I zoomed in on this picture. That bridge you see there is the bridge going over Church Street on the south side of Church Street, downtown Rocky Mount. And it is possible to zoom in on this when it's online. I don't know if it'll be very clear to zoom in on it here. And this, when you save these pictures, particularly these JPEG pictures, a lot of times, and a JPEG, by the way, is just the type of file it is. And when you zoom in on a JPEG, sometimes you lose some clarity. But there you can see the railroad track, the spur track come up down your bottom left-hand corner of your screen there, coming around. But this is from 1959. It's just an aerial shot, and there's a bunch of these. Charlie Killebrew took a bunch of these shots. In addition to being a phenomenal photographer, Charlie took a bunch of aerial photographs too. And so this was one that actually come off of his collection from, again, 1959. And if you would, go ahead to the next one too, because this is another view. Okay, we got another caller. Let's get this call. Hello, caller, you on the air.
All right, that railroad track on the left side of that picture that you just left from.
Right.
That's the one leg of the Y that went right, got real close to the corner of the old YMCA.
Right. Pretty sure did. Yeah, I remember that. Okay. All right, buddy. Thank you here.
All right.
All right, we'll see you. Okay. Yeah, that both of those pictures, in fact, online you can actually zoom in on the newspapers.com website. You can zoom in and get a little better quality, but they're both a little fuzzy right now. But it's a good shot, good angle. And again, I'm thinking Charlie Killebrew took these. I think we got time for one more, Brittany. Let's go to this North Main Street looking south. This will be, I think, the last one. There you go. The old fire station tower there on your left-hand side of the screen. On the right-hand side of the screen there, who remembers, and we're almost out of time, I should have done this earlier, who remembers a business called Horen's, H-O-R-E-N''S? Anybody remember that? 407-1111 is the number. If no one calls in the next 30 seconds, I'll tell you what it was. But I had never heard of Horen's until I zoomed in on this picture at my desk and saw the name and went to a 1959 city directory and found out what Horen's actually was. And since we're out of time, I'll go ahead and tell you. Horen's was a discount clothing store, credit. You could get clothing on credit. And I never knew there was any such thing in Rocky Mount, but Horen's was down there on Church Street, and on Main Street, on Main Street, and they actually let you go in and get clothes on credit. And I guess if you didn't pay for them, they'd come and take them off your back. I don't know how that worked. But anyway, folks, we've run slam out of time tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for those that call in and shared your memories with us. I appreciate that. As always, take care of yourselves, folks. Have yourselves a great week. Be kind to each other, and we'll see you next week with more Wayback Wednesday. Good night.
You're now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Flores Glass and Mirror Company, servicing the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.